Hello, welcome to this lecture. So now in this lecture, we will design brick masonry structures foundation. In the previous lecture, we get introduced with the masonry structures. Now in this lecture, we will try to design the foundations. And this is the content that we are going to cover in this lecture. So first we will get introduced with the foundation. What is foundation? And what are the various functions of the foundation it serves? And what are the parts of brick foundations that we will see, and what are the various steps which we generally follow to design the brick pillar foundation. And then we will have a design problem related to pillar foundation, and we will solve this. And also we will cover the wall foundation, brick masonry wall foundation. So basically, in the brick masonry structures, we basically have two main elements. One is the wall or pillar, and we generally design foundation for these two elements. So we will take one example for the pillar foundation and the second example for the wall foundation. So there are some difference in the design process that we will see in the lecture. Now introducing the foundation. What do we understand with the foundation? Well, foundation generally we provide in every building, because foundation is basically a medium which transfer the load of superstructures to the subsoil safely. Well, the structure built above the ground is known as superstructure. So suppose this is the ground level, and below the ground level there is there is an element of the building which is called the foundation. So below the ground level, the element of building is known as substructure, and this substructure mainly consists the foundation. And above the ground, the part of building we is known as superstructure. So the so basically this substructure, mainly the foundation, it has the role of transferring the load of the building or of the superstructure to the soil safely, because this element, this foundation is actually resting on the soil. So it takes the load from the superstructure and transfer to the soil safely. So that is the uh, function, that is the main function of this foundation, and that is also how we can define the foundation. So because we are mainly concerned with the brick masonry foundation, so brick masonry foundation mainly consists, it looks like this. So we can consider this upper part as it may be a wall or it may be a pillar. And below the ground level, you can see this pillar is in the spreaded form, and below this spreaded form we have the PCC. So this is the basic look of the brick masonry foundation. Now why it is spreaded, that we will see in the next slide. So in this, we need to understand what is the main functions of the foundation. Why do we provide foundation? So for this, we need to understand what are the main functions of the foundation. So the basic function of the foundation is to spread the load of the building on a larger area to avoid overloading of the subsoil. Well, suppose say this is the brick pillar. Suppose this is the brick pillar, and suppose it is carrying a load. Now the stiffness of the pillar is strong enough, or it is strong enough to carry this load of W. Now this pillar will be resting on the soil. Now because it is resting on the soil, but here there is a problem that soil may not be stiff enough to carry this load on the required area. So like suppose it is this is the area on which it is resting. So this area may not be enough to transfer this load in case of the soil. So to avoid, so in that case what happens, when this much load is transferring to the soil, and because the area of cross section of the column at the ground level is also same. So what happens is, because of this load, the column may sink to the soil. Now, to avoid this sinking of the soil, what we can do is we can spread this load on the larger area of the soil. So in that case, what we can do is we can have larger area on which this load can be uh, transferred on the soil. So by increasing this area, what we are actually doing is that we are considering the stiffness of the soil also. We know that column is more stiff than the soil, so that is why we are taking less cross sectional area of the column. But when it comes to transferring the load on the soil, because soil is less stiff, so what we can do is we are actually spreading the load on the larger area of the soil. So in this case, so that is the main function of the foundation, that to spread the load on the larger area. And that is why you will see that above, the cross section or thickness of the building element may be less, but when it comes to the ground, suppose this is the ground, so this area or this width increases. So now you can see uh, this is the width on the building, say this is capital B, and this is the width of or thickness of the element. So in this case, B is greater than small b. Why? Because we are supposed to transfer the load on the larger area. So by increasing this area, we are actually taking the uh, consideration of the stiffness of the soil, and this stiffness is generally known as the bearing capacity of the soil. Bearing capacity of soil. So because bearing capacity of soil is low, so that is why we increase the area of foundation on the ground. The second function is to prevent the unequal settlement by loading the subsoil by equal load per unit area. Well, this foundation gives us a flat surface. This found, say, as you can see, suppose this is the pillar. So this pillar is attached with say this foundation. So as you can see, the load is spreading over this large area, and also you can see this is basically a flat surface. Now this flat surface actually it will ensure that there will not be any unequal settlement. So because when the downward load comes on the column, if the foundation is sinking, this flat surface will ensure that if the settlement is occurring, it will be uniform. So for example, if settlement on this part is higher than this part, in that case what happens is the building may tilt. The building may tilt like this. So in that case, because of this tilting, unnecessary pressure will come on the building and the part of the building may collapse. So to avoid this, that is also a role of foundation, that is, it prevents the unequal settlements. The third function is to prepare and provide a level and hard surface to begin building operations. So as I said, it provides a flat surface. So that flat surface can also be a surface on which we can start building, or we can start doing the building operations. Also, the main function, one of the important function in this one also, to provide anchorage of the structure against overturning. So as you can see, suppose this is the building, and it is actually fixed on the ground. So because it is with the foundation, so this foundation is under the ground, so we consider that this part of the building is fixed. Now This overturning factor comes into the picture when the height of building is very large. And when height of the building is very large, the other two load, which means one is the wind load and the second one is the earthquake load. So beside the dead load and live load, we have these two important loads also. And the role of these two loads comes, I mean, it becomes very important when the height of building is large. And these two loads are generally considered as horizontal load. Now, because of these horizontal load, the building may try to, the deformation of the building will look like this. Now, if this part is not fixed, in that case, what will happen? The building will ultimately overturn. So to avoid this overturning, the foundation act as a anchorage or as a fixed support for the whole building. So that is also a very important part or important function of the foundation. So now coming to the brick foundation. So because in our lecture, we will be mainly focused on designing the brick masonry foundation. So here we will try to understand what are the main parts of the brick foundation. So here, uh, basically the brick foundation consists of two main elements. One is the foundation concrete. So in this figure, you can see this is the foundation of brick, and in this foundation, foundation part is this one. So this is the foundation part, and this in this part you can see one of the part is this one, foundation concrete. So on the bottom we provide a foundation concrete to have a flat solid surface. And the second part is masonry straps. So you can see these masonry straps, which these are also a very important element, because with these steps we are actually spreading the area, we are actually spreading the foundation, so that the bearing capacity of soil can be considered. And in the plan also you can see, if we consider this is as a brick pillar foundation, so brick pillar will say this is as a square, and this step will look like this, and then the third step, this one, and the fourth square will be of PCC. So this one is the PCC. So two parts of the foundation here is, one is the foundation PCC and the second one is the brick masonry steps. And from the ground level to the bottom of the PCC, this is known as D, which is called the depth of foundation. So in the design of foundation, we are required to find out depth of foundation. We are required to find out the size of foundation. In size of foundation, specifically this side, what should be this value, and similarly what should be this value. So that is the area of, or the size of foundation. So the important part here we are going to design is, one is the depth, how much depth should be there, the size of foundation, and also what should be the thickness of the foundation bed. Now this thickness of foundation bed is also dependent on the grade of PCC, grade of concrete. So we will see that in the steps. So now we will see what are the various steps which we generally follow to design the brick pillar foundation. So in this, our first step is to calculate the minimum depth of foundation. So this D I have shown you in the previous previous slide. So this depth is basically measured from the ground level to the bottom of the PCC. And this depth can be calculated by using one of the formula called Rankine's formula. So Rankine's formula, I am showing you the formula directly. So this is the Rankine's formula, and in this, QC is the bearing capacity of the soil, safe bearing capacity of the soil, lambda is the density of the soil, and phi is the angle of repose, angle of repose. So this is what I have written here, angle of repose. So bearing capacity is basically the capacity of soil to carry the load without failure. This is not gross, this is actually safe bearing capacity. So safe bearing capacity of the soil is the capacity in which soil can carry the required load without failure. So that is the safe bearing capacity. Density of the soil, that is mass upon volume. And angle of repose. Angle of repose of the soil is also very important. Well, we can understand this angle of repose by a simple experiment. Suppose we have the sandy soil, and if we fall the sandy soil freely, so under the gravity, you will see that that sandy soil will be forming in this shape, in this pyramidical shape or conical shape. So from the horizontal, the angle it is making naturally, this angle is known as angle of repose. So this angle of repose is different for different type of soil, and this angle of repose also comes into the factor of when we calculate the depth of foundation. Also, when we calculate this depth of foundation, we have to make sure that this depth should not be less than 500, because as per Indian standard of code of practice, uh, the depth of foundation should not be less than 500 mm. So while calculating the depth from this formula, if the value is higher than 500 mm, then we will consider that value. By chance, if the D calculated is less than 500 mm, in that case, we will increase that depth to 500 mm, or we will simply adopt the depth 500 mm in case the calculated D is less than 500. If it is higher than 500, then we will adopt the calculated value. So that is the thing that we have to consider in the first step. Now moving to the next step, in this we will calculate the load coming on the foundation. So suppose again I am considering the pillar foundation. Suppose this is the pillar, and something look like this. I'm just making the spreaded area with this. Suppose this is the spreaded area. So this is the spreaded area. Suppose this is the foundation area. Now in this, when the load is coming on the pillar, so this load will be called the external load. Say this is W1. Along with this, we will be having the self weight of pillar. So we will consider that as W2. Along with this, we will be having the self weight of foundation also, and that will be W3. So the summation of W1, W2, and W3 will be the design load. And that is what we will actually calculate. So W1 is the superimposed load coming on the column, and self weight of pillar can be expressed as W2. And third one is the self weight of footing along with the weight of soil above it. So that is the W3. So W1 and W2 can be calculated very easily if the data is given, but W3 is difficult to calculate because initially we don't know what is the size of foundation. So that is why generally we consider W3 equivalent to 20% of the summation of W1 and W2. So this is how we calculate W1, W2, and W3 in the step 2. We will understand this process when we will take an example. So the design load is the summation of W1, W2, and W3. The third step is the size of footing. Now, size of footing can be calculated by two aspects. One is by the calculation, and the second one is by the stability criteria. So we will calculate size of footing by these two criteria. and the size we get higher from these two criteria will be adopted. So here size will be the larger of these two criteria. So we will see how do we follow these two criteria. So first we will take size by calculation. Size by calculation means simply we will follow the same formula, like we know stress is equals to force upon area. We will simply use this formula to calculate the area of foundation. Now in this, stress can be considered as safe bearing capacity of the soil and force as the design load, which we have calculated in the previous step. So if we know the design load, if we know the value of SBC, we can easily calculate the area of foundation required. So by using this relation, we can calculate the area. So this is how, and this is known as the size of footing by calculation. So here I have written area of footing can be calculated by this formula, design load by SBC. And after calculating this area, we can calculate the dimensions of the footing also. So if we have the square footing, I mean, if we have the square cross section for the column, the footing will also be square in the cross section. So suppose the size of footing, suppose the size of footing is square, which means this is the B and this is also B, and above it we have the column. Above it we have the column on this. So if we consider this as small b and this as small b, so small b is representing the cross-sectional dimension of the column and capital B is showing the sides of the foundation. So we can easily calculate this b value if we know the area in case of square footing. So area is equivalent to B into B. And if we already know the area by using this formula, we can easily calculate the side B as under root A. Similarly, if we have the rectangular area, suppose in this case, if now rectangular foundation will be when we have the rectangular pillar. So in this case, we have considered that the cross-sectional dimension is same B into B. Now suppose this pillar is rectangular. One dimension is B and the second dimension is L. So corresponding to small b, we will be having capital B. Corresponding to small l, we will be having capital L. So now how do we calculate this B and L in this case? So we can calculate this. So the ratio of L by B will be equals to L by B, capital L by B. So with the help of this ratio, we can easily calculate the value of L by using this formula. I mean, we know that rectangular formula, I mean, area of rectangle will be B into L. Now, if we put the value of L equivalent to this, so we will be already known the value of small l and b. So with this, we can easily calculate the value of capital B. So this is how we calculate the value of B and L in case of rectangular footing. So that is the first criteria in which we calculate the size by calculation. Now, second criteria is known as the size of footing by stability criteria. Now, in this, this stability criteria is more or less a thumb rule. In this case, again, if we have the square pillar, if we have the square pillar, one second, I think I have yes. So here, suppose I am making the plan of this foundation. Suppose this is B, this is B, and say this is L. And this cross section here, it will be shown like this. So if this is small b and this is small l. Now in this case, you can see these two steps are also there. Now in the stability criteria, we can find out the width of b as x plus 2 times of b plus x. which means if we try to find out this b value, it will be the sum of x plus 2b plus x. Now what is x? X is known as the projection. So projection of the foundation PCC from this step. So you can see here, this is the value of x, and this x is known as the projection, and the value of x is generally taken between 100 to 150 mm. So in this we assume the value of x first, and then we will be already known the value of small b. So width of the foundation can be taken as 2 times of x plus 2 times of width of column. Similarly, if we want to find out the value of L, it will be x plus 2 times of L plus x. So this is a basic thumb rule which we generally follow in this criteria to calculate the size of foundation. So in this, we can easily calculate the value of B and L by assuming the value of X. B and L value will be already known. It will be given in the question. So with this, we can calculate the value of B and L. Now we will compare this B value with the previous criteria. If this B value is higher, similarly, if this L value is higher than the previous criteria, we will adopt this criteria, or vice versa. So that is the method how we calculate the size of foundation using the stability criteria. Also, the length, as you can see, this width of brick, it will always be in the multiple of half brick. So as you can see, 2 brick, I mean, when it says 2 brick thick, suppose the brick is used as modular brick. So if I say 1 brick thick, we know that modular brick size is 190 by 90 by 90. So in this case, 190 is the length of brick. So when we say 1 brick, it means we are talking about the width of brick wall with the thickness of 190. So 1 brick means 190. Similarly, 2 brick means 190 into 2, which means 380. And if we say half brick means half of 190. Half of 190 will be 95 mm in this case. So this 380, this 2 brick should be the multiple of half brick, or all the thickness of, like if we consider this 1 brick or 1.5 brick, 2 brick. So all these steps, they will be dimensioned such that they will be multiple of half brick. By chance, if the value is less than half brick, we have to increase the value such that it becomes the multiple of half brick. So that is also we need to consider in the design. Then moving to the next step. So once we calculate the area of foundation or size of the foundation, then the fourth step is to calculate the net upward pressure. So as you can see, this is the column, and say this is the foundation of the column. Say this is the foundation of the column, and it is resting on the soil. So because of this vertical load, the soil will offer some upward pressure or reaction. So this reaction is basically is in the form of net upward pressure. So we call it P. So this pressure, as we know, the formula for the pressure is force upon area, and here the force is W1 and W2. W1 is the external load and W2 is the self weight of pillar. So load below the soil or below the ground level, we don't consider in calculation of the net upward pressure. So here we will consider only W1 and W2 and divided by the area of the footing adopted in step 3. So whether we have adopted by size of size by calculation or by stability criteria, whatever. The area we have adopted in step 3 will be considered here. So by putting all the value, we can calculate the net upward pressure. So that is our step 4. So after calculating the net upward pressure, we will then calculate the thickness of foundation bed. Thickness of foundation bed means this one. So we can consider this as small d. So thickness of foundation bed, it basically depends. I mean, we can use a relation to calculate this. So here I have written thickness of foundation bed can be calculated by equating the moment of resistance of PCC with the maximum bending moment due to net upward pressure. So as you can see, this net upward pressure will try to bend this PCC like this. So at this point, we will be having maximum bending moment because of this net upward pressure. So similarly here also, at this point also, because of this net upward pressure, this PCC will try to go up like this. So first crack due to net upward pressure will occur here. So what will be the maximum bending moment for this? If we compare this with the moment of resistance or the strength of this PCC, we can easily calculate the thickness of bed. So that is how we say. So as per relation, maximum bending moment due to the load should be less than moment of resistance of the PCC bed. So here again, we will use the concept of lecture 2. So in this maximum bending moment, how do we calculate this maximum bending moment? Maximum bending moment in this case will be as you can see, if we consider this as the fixed support and this part of the PCC as the free support. So you can see this PCC is fixed at this end, but it is free at this end. So we can consider this part of PCC as the cantilever. So the bending moment for the cantilever in this case would be P multiplied by x square by 2. So the maximum bending moment in case of cantilever, or if I make like this, say this is the net upward pressure and this is the fixed part, and say this is the value x. So I have to find out maximum bending moment. Maximum bending moment will occur here because my PCC will break from here. So in this case, maximum bending moment will be at this point and it will be equivalent to P into x, which means P multiplied by x is the total, becomes the total load, because P here acting as a UDL. So P multiplied by x becomes total load multiplied by where it will act at the center at this point. So this becomes x by 2. So this becomes x by 2. So that means maximum bending moment in this case would be px square by 2. So similarly, what is the moment of resistance for PCC bed? So from the bending equation, we know that moment of resistance can be calculated as F into Z. We know that this is the formula as per bending equation, F into Z. F is the bending stress, maximum bending stress it can take, and Z is the section modulus. So here section modulus will be BD square by 6. So here we can see here. So this B will be taken as unit width, because if I extend this value like this, so if I consider this as B as the unit width, so B value here becomes 1, which means we are left only with D square by 6. So I have provided the formula here. So Px square by 2 into 10 raised to the power minus 3 is equals to Mr into Bd cube by 6. Now, as I said, B is taken as the unit width. So we are left only with the d square by 6, and mr is known as modulus of rupture, or we can say maximum bending strength of the PCC. So the F we are representing in the moment equation. Here this F is actually modulus of rupture, and this modulus of rupture is actually we can express this modulus of rupture as the bending strength of the PCC, or maximum bending stress it can take. That can, in that way also we can express it. So uh, so ultimately, as you can see here in the calculation of P will be given in kilonewton per meter square, because size of footing will be in meter and W1 W2 is in kilonewton. So ultimately the unit of P will be kilonewton per meter square. So if we convert this into Newton per mm square, so this will actually will become 10 raised to power minus 3 Newton per mm square. So that is why I have multiplied this P value with 10 raised to power minus 3 multiplied by x and x by 2. So that becomes the bending moment. So that becomes our maximum bending moment, equivalent to moment of resistance into modulus of rupture multiplied by uh, section modulus. So equating this, we can have the relation of D. So the relation of D calculated is under root 3 into 10 raised to power 3 into P into x square upon mr. So in this case, x value will be in mm, mr value will be in Newton per mm square, and P value will be in kilonewton per meter square, because I have already taken the unit conversion, this one. So whenever we put the value in the formula, we will put the value of P as kilonewton per meter square, X as in mm, mr in Newton per mm square, because in this formula we have already considered the unit conversion. So this mr is the modulus of rupture, and modulus of rupture can be taken from this table. So this modulus of rupture depends on the grade of PCC. PCC grade is 1:2:4. So in this case, 1 is 1 part of cement, 2 part of sand, and 4 parts of stone aggregate. So this is how we have the grade of PCC. We will understand this grade of PCC in the other course in the next semester. So depending on this grade of PCC, we have the different value of moment of resistance. So in the question, we will be given the grade of PCC, and based on that grade, we will be using the value of MR using this table. So that completes the steps. After calculating the depth, we will simply make the sketch of the foundation, and that completes our design. So in the next part, we will take an example to understand this design process. Thank you.